Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for watching another Jaguars United video. I'm very excited about this one because I got to do an interview with one of my favorite boys, Treeb from Treeb Talks. He's a Jaguars YouTuber. This is just a little piece of our conversation. We're going to be posting it up throughout the week so you can see the whole conversation. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. We're at Jaguars_United. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at JaguarsUnited_. You can check out our website at jagsunited.com to keep up with all the latest news, the articles, the apparel, the message boards, all those things. So thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoy.
What are your expectations? What are your thoughts of Gardner Minshew heading into the 2020 campaign so far?
The thing that Minshew gets talked about all the time about him is that he's a leader. And like the second he walks into the room, like he's a leader. So like hearing that that's his response is not surprising to me because that's what everyone says about him. And that's kind of one of his best attributes is that he is a leader. He steps in as a leader. I mean, he stepped in and was a leader his rookie year. Like think about that. Like was Kyler Murray the leader of the Cardinals? Was Daniel Jones the leader of the Giants? Like probably not. Those guys don't seem like they have the personality to step into the huddle and be a leader. But Minshew is like, oh yeah, dude, that dude is leading this crew into battle. And like you say that immediately about Gardner Minshew. And that's one of the things I love about him. And I think he has something like the it factor that is going to allow him to take this Jaguars team to an 8 or 9 win season. And I know that's crazy, but I think honestly, 8 or 9 win season, I think Minshew leads them to this year.
So one thing that you were talking about is, his leadership ability and, he's the leader of the team. And you look at guys like Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, those aren't the leaders of the team because you got guys like Saquon Barkley, Larry Fitzgerald that are on the team. But Minshew, DJ Chark's not a 1,000-yard receiver with Blake Bortles. He wasn't. And I'm not taking anything away from DJ Chark. Don't take that the wrong way. But Gardner Minshew comes in there. There's a 1,000-yard receiver in DJ Chark, and he's leading the team. And he's always had that kind of chip on his shoulder. As, if you just read my Twitter bio, I was a Gardner Minshew fan before it was cool. You go into Washington State, he had almost the exact same situation. He wasn't really supposed to be the starting quarterback. Tyler Helinski, the guy that was going to be the quarterback, ended up committing suicide and led Washington State to its best regular season record in program history and dominated and just electrified the fans and electrified the community. And he's doing that exact same thing in Jacksonville. And that's why I think I find it hard to believe that, it's a tale of two different communities when you go to Jaguar Facebook and you go to Jaguar Twitter. Jaguar Facebook is a very firm believer of the tank for Trevor train. There's no way, in my opinion, absolutely no way Gardner Minshew can ever be that bad to the point where they are going to be in a position to draft Trevor Lawrence in 2021. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, we saw last year, this team could be the worst team in the NFL for 3.5 quarters. It can be the worst team. They could give up 200 yards rushing to the worst running back in the league. But in the final half of the fourth quarter, Gardner Minshew is going to do what he does, and he's going to win you at least 6 games. And that's just the way that he's going to do it. I agree 100% with you. There's no way a Gardner Minshew-led team is going to be the worst team in the league. He's clutch. He's got the clutch gene. He's got the it factor. If he doesn't win 8 or 9 wins, like I'm saying, there's no way he wins only 4. I mean, you still got Leonard Fournette. You still have DJ Chark. You have no defense, but you can still win some games with that.
Yeah, and a lot of people immediately are going to Dave Caldwell and Shad Khan. I think that is the trickiest subject you could even talk about as a Jaguar presenter, as somebody in the Jaguar media, because there's some, like, every bit of you wants to go off on these two men and say that they have depleted this franchise, they have done everything bad, but then you look back at it and you say, well, maybe there's this, and maybe there's that, and maybe there's this. Why is it so hard to talk about Shad Khan and Dave Caldwell as it is to the team's success?
I mean, Dave Caldwell has gotten an unprecedented leash as far as time he's had to develop a team. I mean, no one in history has been giving 7 years to build a team. Dave Caldwell has a very good reputation amongst NFL circles. So like if you go and talk to these like high execs and these GMs, Dave Caldwell has a good reputation amongst those groups. That's why Khan has allowed him to stay. Khan is a smart businessman. And if everyone in the industry is talking highly of your guy, you're not going to fire him. And that's just Shad Khan being a smart businessman, regardless of how you feel about the Jags. If you stack on top of that the fact that he's found these gems here and there, then you could make a case that having him retained is going to give you the same chance of winning as bringing in someone fresh. So, why not give him another year? Minshew earned another year to prove that he could be a franchise guy. So this is it. This is it for all of them. It's tough. It's a lot of weight on Minshew, and I think he can handle it. But this entire organization is resting on Gardner Minshew. If Gardner Minshew has a good year this year, everyone's retained. We're moving forward. Let's go. If Gardner Minshew has a bad year, we're cleaning house, drafting a new quarterback, and we're starting over in 2021.
So let me put it to you like this. Let's say Gardner Minshew goes out and does what me and you expect him to do at the very least. Let's say he wins 7 football games next year, and the Jaguars are good enough to finish second. We'll say second in the AFC South. Because the AFC South, at least in my opinion, next year, I don't think is going to be a powerhouse division. I don't know what you think about that, but in my opinion, I don't think they're going to be a powerhouse division. Now, the Jaguars go 7-9 in the AFC South. Dave Caldwell, does that change his reputation a little bit? Does he flip it to where he can get a little bit more respect and there's a little bit more understanding to the leeway, but there's still a losing record at hand? What is the extension that you're going to be giving Dave Caldwell with a Gardner Minshew-led team?
So I never use this response ever. This is my most hated response. When I'm interviewing people, I'm talking to people and they give me this response, I always get pissed and I pick at them. But this is the honest truth. It depends how that 7-9 looks. Okay. If Gardner Minshew is balling and the defense can't stop anybody, I think we have something. And the defense gets older, we draft some defensive players, then okay, we're good to go. If we're like barely winning games, Minshew plays horrible, the backup quarterback comes in and wins 3 or 4 games, then that's obviously a rebuild. So like I said, it would be hard for me to draw a line in the sand as far as wins and losses because it depends on how it looks. And I think the deciding factor is going to be how well these newest players play. Which is tough for a GM, but that's I think because Khan's a businessman. Like I said, he's going to evaluate that, and then he's going to be like, all right, we're moving the direction we want to go or we're not.
Yeah, exactly. And, we talk about Dave Caldwell getting this long leash to really build this team, 7 years, however long it's been. Now we flip the switch to Doug Marrone. Doug Marrone has also been kind of given this long leash, but it seems like Jaguar fans aren't as hard on Doug Marrone because I feel like when you look at Doug Marrone coach a football game, he looks like he ages 60 years during the football game. He does not look like he is having a good time coaching those guys out there. As far as Doug Marrone goes, I think Doug Marrone is poised to have a bounce back season this year, especially with a guy that I know you like and a guy I know is going to translate well, and we're going to talk about him more and more as this podcast goes along, but with Jake Gruden and Ben McAdoo too. Ben McAdoo doesn't get talked about as much as a quarterback coach, but I really like that signing as well. Now that we've talked about Shad Khan, we've talked about Dave Caldwell, where does Doug Marrone stand with the 7-9? Is this a Jason Garrett situation where he's going to be sticking around if this team is mediocre to average? Or is it a situation where you need to find your guy now, there's no point in keeping Doug around? Or are you going to go back to that answer of it depends on how it looks?
Yeah, so that's a tough question because what a coach is asked to do is to be the CEO of an organization. So there's things that you can do as the CEO of an organization that doesn't translate to wins, but that's good. And so what I mean by that is Doug Marrone isn't one of these guys who like Jake Gruden or these guys who called their own plays, right? Or who was very, very aggressive in the play calling and the scheme. Doug Marrone is one of those coaches that's in the category of what a typical special teams coach would look like when they get a head coaching job. which very just like, all right, look, I'm gonna manage the timeouts, I'm gonna manage the replays, I'm gonna manage the when we go for it on fourth down, when we don't, I'm gonna manage what.
And I think he does a good job
like.
at those things.
Exactly, and that's the problem is he is very good at those things, but he doesn't get wins. So he's kind of in that bubble where it's like when everyone gets the boot, or if everyone gets the boot, he's going to be lumped in. But Doug Marrone's a great guy, but he doesn't move the needle for the team very much. Like, for example, I think Jay Gruden is a bigger part of the Jaguars' wins and losses than Doug Marrone is. And that's just because Jay Gruden's calling plays for the offense, and Doug Marrone's like calling timeouts. So
yeah,
there's a lot that comes with being a head coach, but I think he's just kind of lumped into the organization. He doesn't really move the needle that much for me. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video. We're going to be posting the rest of the interview throughout the week, so make sure to subscribe so you get the notifications when those pop up. Make sure to give us a comment and feedback on what you thought about the video, and we hope to see you guys very soon. As always, go Jags.